Probationary constable arrested again after being granted bail. Malaysian national seeks refuge at Gordens Police Barracks. And improvement in road and communication services for Goilala.
This is National EMTV News with Lorraine Genia.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday's news. The probationary constable who was arrested and charged last week for sexual assault was granted bail minutes before he was arrested again for malicious damage to state property. Pedro Baiba, 23-year-old Sipik man, was arrested at the holding cell at the Waigani court premises this morning. Tekla Gunga with this report.
The committal court granted 1,000 kina bail on Baiba and another probational officer, Guilford Avenamo, who was also charged for sexually touching the same female victim. Both officers are members of the NCD Beat Patrol based at the Gordens Barracks. The court held that both officers sexually touched the private parts of a woman they picked up at Hohola and took to Gordens for further interrogation.
So you can go to Gordens office floor, beat office. From there, all to the check him.
Jerick Mokmane, another police officer attached to the Boroko police station, was charged with sexual assault of another female victim who was brought into Boroko police station on an adultery-related case.
And whilst the female was in the cells, the policeman induced her to take her out from the cells to the office where she can be kept separately from the other detainees. But whilst in the process, the victim was raped at the charge room at Boroko police station.
The incident happened last week, and quick response by NCD and Central Commander Sylvester Cloud led to his arrest, and the matter will return to court in February. Meanwhile, bail for Baiba and Avenamo was granted on two conditions. They are not to interfere with ongoing police investigations and to remain within the National Capital District until their court case is over. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The termination of John Mangoes by PNG Power will not be executed until the final hearing and decision of the matter before the National Court. This was part of an interim order handed down by Judge Koget this morning. The matter has been adjourned to January the 14th, 2016. John Mangoes was represented by Young and William lawyers, while the state-owned enterprise was represented by in-house lawyers. A motion by Anderson Agiru to remain as Hela Governor was adjourned to 1:30 p.m. tomorrow for hearing. Judge Derek Hartshorn adjourned the motion to give time for the other defendants to be served the notice of motion. Vasinatayama reports.
Although the legal year hasn't begun yet, urgent matters are keeping the courts busy. One such example is this Agiru versus Potape case. This morning, supporters of both parties packed the courtroom and the car park to capacity to hear the motion. They were impatient to hear the outcome. While inside the courtroom, the judge adjourned the motion to tomorrow because the notice of motion by Agiru's lawyers was not served to other defendants. Agiru's lawyer, Goya Gilang, told MTV that the defendants are Francis Potape, the Komo Magarima MP, and 8 members of the Provincial Assembly, who are the 8 LLG presidents.
We filed an application on behalf of Governor Anderson Agiru seeking restraining orders to allow Governor Agiru to continue to perform his functions, and that application we sought to move it before the court today, but His Honor Justice Hartshorn adjourned to tomorrow 1:30 for the matter to be heard. So we'll deal with that application tomorrow. Then whatever the outcome of the matter is, then we would be able to know what the status of the situation in Hela province is, so far as the political tussle is concerned.
Meanwhile, many of the supporters declined to talk on camera to protect the identity of who they are supporting. However, since the case was adjourned, they will be back at the courthouse tomorrow. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, sworn-in Hela Governor Francis Potape has made it clear that a three-man Supreme Court led by the Chief Justice quashed his conviction and freed him after serving 7 months in prison. In a statement received by EMTV News, Mr. Potape stated that comments made by Anderson Agiru in yesterday's Daily is misleading. However, he welcomed Agiru's challenge in court for the Hela governor's seat, but says Mr. Agiru must respond to the 13 grounds levelled against him. Potape maintained that he is mandated by the people of Komo Magarima and sworn in as governor of Hela province through a lawful assembly process. Gordens Police Barracks officer in charge, Chief Sergeant Jeffrey Simua, is calling on the Foreign Affairs Department and Malaysian government to immediately repatriate Jackson Low Weng Kiang back to his country. Jackson Kiang from Malaysia has been in the country since 2001. He was engaged in a gambling operation that was later banned. 2 weeks ago, police found Kiang at the Gordens area and took him in. Kiang, at 40 years of age, claims he has been living on the streets of Port Moresby for almost 15 years and wants to return home.
Jackson Low Weng Kiang, 40 years old from Malaysia, was brought to PNG in 2001 by the owner of Econ Trading to operate ILO and horse race gambling machines. According to Kiang, he was among 10 others who were brought into the country.
Working this machine. This machine em kat na plan machine osem you play taso for the toya one credit osem this machine taso fixing.
However, after the government imposed and effected the ban on operating gambling machines in the country in 2001, Jackson was displaced. He told MTV that he had a wife from Papa village with 2 children whom he visited back then.
Taso ya first born married. Later, okay, stop. Em got baby, em married, boring. Tu plan married taso.
According to Gordens Police Barracks officer in charge, Chief Sergeant Jeffrey Simewa, all his countrymen left except Jackson, who had a mental illness which may have forced him to remain in the country.
Manelo Malaysia, em boglong go kam long la stolo econ trading, looking online local trading long some support, which means long some bus fare or something or some long so I can stop.
He was found wandering in front of Econ Trading 2 weeks ago and brought to Gordens Police Barracks and take refuge on humanitarian grounds. Kiang claimed that his travel documents were confiscated by the Foreign Affairs Department.
All business house, some problem side of Malaysia or any all narplo or companies or whatever online naplo help him. At least also should help him Jackson's, so that them can travel go back to place in Malaysia.
Eric Arupman, National MTV News.
And still to come on National MTV News, status of road construction in Wagi Valley, service improvements for Goilala District and Lay Police strategize in 2016. Welcome back to the news. A shortfall in government funding has disrupted the construction of a road that will serve hundreds who are yet to enjoy the benefits of road accessibility. The Wagi to Supri Road in Nipa Southern Highlands Province, worth 6 million kina, is yet to be completed due to lack of funding. The contract was awarded to a local contractor more than a year ago. However, the contractor claims only part of that 6 million kina was released. Locals are now urging authorities to ensure the completion of the road.
The Wagi Supri Road is a new road, one that is built for the first time, that will save a population of close to 1,000 people living behind the mountains. For decades, these people have been walking to the main road, the highway, carrying their garden produce to the market. The completion of this road will bring change. However, they are yet to see a complete road and want the government to fund the completion of this road. Jim Aga is one of many who has been struggling and want the completion of this project that will benefit him and his community.
This road, it must complete, please. Road must all man very low Rawagi stop yet. This road stop no good.
An initial 6 million kina was announced as a national government funding for the construction of this road. However, the contractor claims that money was never paid in full. Nipa Kutubu District Administration over the last 3 years has invested in road infrastructure, constructing new roads and upgrading existing roads. This approach is complementing the national government's vision to seal the highway starting from Mendi to Nipa and further on to Tari. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
The people of the Goilala district in Central Province believe a proper road network will see more development reach them. They say for years the only access in and out of Goilala is by air or by foot to Port Moresby. But Goilala MP William Sam says the new District Development Authority is now focusing on building a road for the people in 2016.
Goilala district in the Central Province has remained close to the outside world because of its remoteness. People there live a simple life with little communication and electricity access. Peter Ina, the local catechist at Woitape Mission Station, says transport of goods and services has been limited due to bad road conditions. He says the Goilala District Development Authority must build a proper road for other services to reach communities.
Plus this type yet lo same lifestyle me plus this type yet long. So when people like him road must come through lo mipla.
For years, the only road access into Goilala district has seen little to no changes. But Goilala MP William Sab says the Dubu Track project is the beginning of a proper road.
Man sabelo walking coasting na zosanina emba kamanta. So tupla sani ba yuksim lo Dubu Track emba costing DDA you 1.4 million kina.
MP Sab says the district will continue to improve its airstrips while awaiting the construction of the road.
So we need to fix all airstrips so that for the start, service by restore.
Catechist Peter Ina is optimistic Goilala people will see more development and contribute to the country's economy only if a proper road is built.
Mipla can supply most below vegetables one time or kakao, fresh food. Mipla can supply Mosby because Mipla stop close to Mosby.
Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Still in Goilala, the people will now access vital information from around the country and the world. This was possible after the launch of the district's VSAT program recently. Telecom Communications engineer Stephen Clay says the small-scale project can be developed if a larger electricity supply is accessed.
For years, communication through landline phones and viewing of local television programs has not been part of the people of Goilala. However, the launch of the district's VSAT project was hailed with jubilation. Local MP William Sab flew into the district to launch the program. Youth leader Alan Fassier says people will have the chance to connect with the outside world.
Now something Mipla ibn Alem Longen or 3-month services come up Longenem. Now first time come up with Longen where all people can look in live TV.
First time Mipla look in TV and Mipla Mastro.
Locals will be watching news and other programs on a daily basis. Telecom engineer Stephen Clay says a similar trend can be connected to households if there is a larger electricity supply in the area.
Depending on power, solar no battery battery right, solar right, and by imigan to channel mate imigan because low power rating the solar.
Under the district's communication programs, the Goilala MP said the VSAT program is a small start for the people of Goilala.
So communication is very important, okay? So we need to put VSATs in place so that we are able to communicate.
Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Lae Metropolitan Chief Superintendent Anthony Ugambi Jr. says this year Lae Police will take a more strategic approach in its fight against crime. Lae is known for its high rate of armed robberies and stolen motor vehicles, but Ugambi Jr. wants to change that image.
Lay Metropolitan Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi Jr. says they will be carrying out proper inspections of all sub-urban police stations in the city. This is to ensure that these stations are properly renovated and properly manned with enough police manpower and logistics to back them up. Police will continue to work in partnership with the community and the Law and Order Committee members throughout the year. This is to ensure that police daily operations must be maintained at all times apart from major operations. Wagambi is also appealing to stakeholders, including the provincial government, business houses and the community at large to partner with police.
In Lay, we are going to strategize on our fight against crime, especially to do with Lay City is known for the high rate of armed robberies and stolen motor vehicles. We are going to strategize and we are going to fight that head on.
However, Wagambi says since last week there were no major incidents, especially after police fouled a planned armed robbery at Lay's Theodis. Police have also apprehended a suspect involved in the camp care robbery and suspects involved in the Fields Motel robbery. Wagambi praised his officers for their response, which prevented small incidents from getting out of hand. This year, police manpower in Lay will be boosted with the completion of a single barracks for both the policemen and women. Currently, with manpower constraints, officers are only working 2 shifts, and this is not enough to meet daily policing demands. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Lay.
Papua New Guinea's Evangelical Lutheran Church will host its 30th synod later in the month at Morbe's Finschhafen district. Logistic preparations are now underway to cater for guests arriving into the area. The Morbe provincial government has allocated 1 million kina for the preparation phase of the synod.
The Lutheran Church's synod, held every 2 years, has arrived, and after 10 years, Morbe's Finschhafen district will play host again this year at its quarter LLG. It will attract participants from all Lutheran congregations in and outside of Morbe province.
Madang, Kalkal, New Guinea Island, Papua. And this all 17 plus. So now 30 one belong to synod.
The 1 million kina allocated by the Morbe government covers accommodation, logistics, food and water at the district's Hellsbeck area.
At the conclusion of the synod, we will look at figures that will definitely exceed 1 million kina from the government level.
The preparations have been ongoing since the beginning of the month. Village men, women and children were involved. The Synod's organizing committee was very active with the preparation stage, engaging almost all villages in this church obligation.
We plan completing pennies 7 pla dormitories. We're 2 pla district by stapler 1 dormitory. We're 50-50 official delegate by sleep long end. We're close to 850 delegates.
Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Lee.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3325 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3250 US, $0.4491 Australian dollars, $0.2967 euro and 38.49 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee and cocoa closed higher while copper closed the day lower, and copper closed lower while palm oil and crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 277 points higher, the ASX closed at 64 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 157 points higher. And among stories after the break, the earthquake in India that's killed 11 people and left hundreds injured. Stay with us. Welcome back. 29 motor vehicle accidents were reported in the nation's capital over the Christmas and New Year period. Inspector Philip Colliardi, the officer in charge of traffic police, said apart from the accidents, one man was killed when he was run over by a vehicle at Waigani in Port Moresby.
Inspector Colliardi described the New Year and Christmas period quite quiet compared to previous years in the nation's capital. He told MTV his unit had set up roadblocks to check mainly for drink driving offences and vehicles carrying unlicensed firearms. OIC reported a total of 29 accidents over the Christmas and New Year period. Of the 29, there were 7 accidents where minor injuries occurred and 1 hit-and-run accident. Inspector Colliardi told MTV that the hit-and-run incident involved 65-year-old David Karasu of Yangaru East Sepik Province. He was hit by a public motor vehicle at the North Waigani and was rushed to the hospital but was pronounced dead in the afternoon. Apart from that one incident, Inspector Colliardi said it was good to see that the residents in the nation's capital had somewhat changed and made the Christmas and New Year celebration a quiet one, with no major road accident. Adelaide Sirox Kari, National, MTV News.
The opposition has resorted to speak up on various issues it claims were downplayed by the government over the years. Some of these issues include the special agriculture business leases, number 1 super retirement funds, the appointment of chief ombudsman, and the shortfall in the budget to organise the 2017 national election.
It's the first week of the new year and the opposition has announced what they look forward to this year. Among other things, they resolute to speak up on issues of national interest. These issues include the controversial SABL report, which has taken over 4 years for the government and the implementing agencies to act on the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry report. Opposition leader Don Pollier says they will also speak strongly on fighting corruption, appointment of the chief ombudsman, which has been vacant for a year now, and the downfall in the 2016 budget to update the electoral roll for the 2017 national general election.
The next resolution that opposition will be driving is to making sure that what belongs to the people, such as pensions, entitlements, or land, or other assets, must be given to them.
These issues of national importance has taken too long and the opposition was not satisfied. Mr. Pollier says the government was avoiding proper debate on these issues on the floor of Parliament.
That's what the opposition is calling on the people of this nation to be vigilant about this. The institutions of governance in Papua New Guinea to be vigilant, to stand against and not to compromise these very important values.
Quinton Alomp, National MTV News.
Turning overseas now, a powerful earthquake struck India in the early hours of yesterday morning, killing at least 11 people and injuring nearly 200. While rescuers are still searching under rubble to find people trapped, the number of casualties is expected to rise. The earthquake measured 6.7 on the Richter scale.
The 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck Imphal, the capital of the Indian state Manipur bordering Myanmar, while a city of about 270 people was still asleep just before dawn. Police and hospitals in Imphal said the casualty toll had reached 11 dead and nearly 200 injured. The toll is expected to rise. Search teams are still trying to find workers feared to have been buried under the rubble of a building that had been under construction. They are unsure how many might be trapped. Residents said power and communication links were down in the remote region. Some lashed out at what they called the authorities' slow response, saying that although the army had begun to clear some debris, it appeared to be short on heavy equipment.
सभी लोग रास्ते पर आ गए, सब लोग तो यहाँ पर तो सब 2-3 मंजिले सबका ही है, सब लोग रास्ते पर ही है, सबका में एकदम डर तो सभी को लगा हुआ है.
Portions of walled staircases and roofs in some buildings collapsed in Imphal. People rushed out of their homes and gathered in the streets. In hospitals, paramedics attended to the injured. Lorraine Gabina, MTV World News.
Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron has been challenged in an Islamic State video. Britain is now examining the video showing a masked man and a young boy both speaking with British accents. The video, which could not be independently verified, also contains footage showing the killing of 5 men accused of spying for the West.
In the propaganda video, the masked militant threatened Prime Minister Cameron, vowing that the Islamic State will eventually conquer Britain before shooting one of the alleged spies in the head.
This is a message to David Cameron. O slave of the White House, O mule of the Jews, O British government, O people of Britain, know that today your citizenship is under our feet, and that the Islamic State, our country, is here to stay.
The masked militant shown in the video spoke in a clear British accent, waving a gun at the camera while criticizing Cameron. He spoke of Cameron regarding him as an imbecile and insignificant leader, also mentioning previous Prime Ministers Tony Blair and Gordon Brown as no different.
Because you will lose this war, as you lost in Iraq and Afghanistan. But this time, when you lose, your children will inherit your defeats and remember you as the fools who thought they could fight the Islamic State.
Britain's Foreign Office is aware of the video and is studying its contents. Lorraine Gabina, MTV World News.
And Trukai Sports is up next. Hunters team named for the Intrust Super Cup. Former Kumul Rod Griffin moves to West Tigers, and Gulf Isipairs prepare for the Intercity Cup. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Following their 2-week festive season break, the PNG Hunters have named their final team for the 2016 Intrust Super Cup season. The team includes the likes of experienced players Watovo Puara, Noel Zemming, beside newcomers Justin Olam and Watson Boas. The team assembled today for final pre-season preparations under the guidance of coach Michael Marum.
After 4 weeks in training camp and a 2-week break for the festive season, PNG Hunters coach Michael Marum has named a 25-man squad for the 2016 Intrust Super Cup season. Blenda Bavu, Wartovo Puara, Ase Boas, with 14 other seasoned players have been named alongside 7 new faces for the 2016 season. Along with the 25 is an additional player, William Aquila, being added to the pre-season preparation. The PNG Hunters are also adding to their squad 3 development players in the likes of Connie Burnett, John Ruggie and Simon Peter. Coach Marum will fly to Brisbane next week to join Wayne Bennett and the Brisbane Broncos for a week of pre-season training and discussions on the Hunters utilizing the Broncos facilities. The Intrust Super Cup season is set to kick off in March. Jaylee Sapies, National MTV Sports.
Former PNG Kumul and Ipswich Jets star Rod Griffin recently signed a 1-year contract with NRL club West Tigers. Born in Papua New Guinea, Griffin moved to Australia when he was 3 years old and played his junior rugby league for the Atherton Roosters before going into the North Queensland Cowboys academy system that finally saw him in the Intrust Super Cup playing for the Jets. The recent move to the West Tigers adds on to Griffin's winding journey in rugby league.
The other, Griffin. Look at his footwork, Rod Griffin! Griffin scores for Ipswich!
Papua New Guinea professional rugby league player Rod Griffin was first selected to play for the PNG Kumuls in 2007 whilst playing for the West Tiger junior grades in Sydney, Australia. He returned to the Queensland Cup to play for the Northern Pride and won his first premiership in 2010 against the North Devils. Griffin, who recently signed a 1-year contract with the West Tigers, says he is enjoying his rugby career very much. The former Kumul, who represented PNG again in 2008, did pre-season training early last year with the Brisbane Broncos but failed to secure a spot. He then went on to play in the Intrust Super Cup Grand Final win over the Townsville Blackhawks in September and the Newcastle Knights in the 2015 NRL State Championship. The 28-year-old has played 3 grand finals in the Inter Super Cup competition. In October last year, Griffin signed a 1-year contract with the West Tigers ending at the end of 2016. As the club continues to strengthen its playing roster for 2016, NRL West Tigers head coach Jason Taylor said the inclusion was an important move to help consolidate the club's depth in the 2016 season. Considering Griffin's success in his career so far, Taylor said Griffin had plenty of potential, which is surely a positive thing for the club. Jaylee Sapies, National EMTV Sports.
The Gulf Isapairs team is ready to name players for the new season after recent selection trials in Kerema. The 30 selected players will later cut down to 25 as Gulf Isapairs get ready for the Intercity Cup competition.
With the looming of the Intercity Cup, teams are in training and gearing up to start the season. And for the Gulf Isapairs, it's no exception. Chairman of the Gulf Isapair, Jacob Ivaroa, has been working around the clock with the help of the local organizers to recruit talents to play for Isapairs in the Intercity Cup.
So people coming from Gulf, it will increase the number. However, the figure of 50% cut-off mark for players in the participating in leagues within the province, they will still get their 50% cut.
Ivaroa said given the fact that Gulf Isapair's team is made up of players from around the country, it will be more fitting to see a handful of local raw talents scouted directly from the local league competition.
Obviously, which is a minimum, will come from the province. The other 10 will come from the current Isapair. The 5 is left for me to select. Whether I select the other 5 from the Kerema League or from around the country, the discretion is on me, based on observing the weaknesses of the team that is selected.
However, it will be a challenging road for the lads and they have to work extra hard to earn their spot in the team.
50% of last year player, I believe we could make a huge impact. But the direction now is very clear that we get 50%. Obviously, we will have a lot of work to do, a lot of work. And I will comply to the directions, but it's up to us to put in extra effort.
The level of competition in the Intercity Cup continues to rise every year, and the team has to maintain their level of consistency to stay competitive throughout this season. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Plenty more to come on Trukai Sports with rugby union and soccer. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Get Into Rugby program has been the driving force for the growth of rugby union in the Pacific. Similar to the Pacific and Union curriculum-based program, GIR is also a school-based program which focuses more on the on-field practices of rugby. While many of the rugby programs were put on hold in 2015 due to the 2015 Pacific Games and other events held by the PNG-RFU, this year will see the resumption and expansion of many of these programs to the outer centres. This focus for PNG-RFU's Silosi Druma is development, developing women's rugby in centres outside of the National Capital District and most notably developing the junior unions throughout the country.
So the program were on hold, especially the school programs. But so we're trying to catch up again for this year. There's 2 other provinces that we're yet to visit, which is West New Britain and New Ireland. So those are the 2 provinces that we need to introduce the program, the Get Into Rugby program.
With Mendi, Popondetta and Madang continuing to embrace the PRU program, the Get Into Rugby program will be introduced in 2 more provinces in the New Guinea Islands region.
We still have to cover Manus and Sipik. They've shown interest, they want to come on board. But like I said, the best way for them to come on board is to introduce the school program. And they'll set a base for them, and from there then they can start working on the administration and also get the competition on the ground running.
While these 3 provinces have registered their interest with the PNG-RFU to become affiliated unions, PNG-RFU have said they must introduce junior development programs first as a way of moving forward.
Because a lot of provinces want to be affiliated to the PNG Rugby Union. So what we're telling them, the best way to try and introduce yourself and become part of us is to get your school program on, which is a development program. So once they get into rugby, that's sort of like an entry for them, and hopefully they can develop all the other programs, which is their competition, the 15s comp, the 7s, and the women's, and to become fully affiliated with us.
PNG Rugby Union will announce their final 25-man squad to compete in the HSBC Hong Kong Sevens in the World Sevens Series circuit. The extended squad will assemble this week in Port Moresby to prepare for the tournament, which is set to take place from the 8th to the 10th of April this year. Although falling short of a Rio Olympic appearance, the Puk-Puks are ready for the fixtures under coach Douglas Guy's guidance.
They'll be on camp and start their preparation for the Hong Kong Sevens. The Hong Kong Seven is a big program for us because it's a qualifying for the HSBC World Series. Last year the boys lost in the semis to Russia, and Russia is now in the World Series. Hopefully our boys can do better this year, and we want to go and really get into the final, and hopefully we can qualify for the World Series as well.
While 2015 has been the most significant year for sports in Papua New Guinea, the PNG Sports Foundation is aiming to go a step further in 2016. Executive Director of the PNG Sports Foundation, Peter Chamalili Jr., says the organisation has 4 priorities for the year, among them the Business Development Plan for 2016. With the handing over of the facilities from the state to the PNG Sports Foundation, the core of their organisation will now feature a business module, which will strive to generate income through the sporting infrastructures worth over 1 billion kina. Executive Director of the PNGSF, Peter Chamalili Jr., says this will be one of the Foundation's key objectives for the year of 2016.
Not only now that we're talking about delivering programs, we've also been given, through the government's intervention, 1.1 billion kina worth of facility assets. And these are assets that we need to manage and be able to generate revenue, because the government now will be looking at us and saying, look, we've given you these assets of which you can generate revenue from. So we need to start aligning some of our policies and developing it into some of our business plans.
Creating a business development plan and upgrading the current sports policy aren't the only priorities for the Foundation. The year ahead will be another eventful one. With the hosting of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup and the biannual PNG Games, the Foundation will be working on the successful delivery of both these events, as well as maintaining the High Performance Division, which had recently been handed over from the PNG Olympic Committee.
There's 2 things that are going to be very key for us, are going to be highlighted for 2016, is reviewing our reviewing the sports policy and also developing our business plan for the organisation. Having said that, there's also making sure that we achieve the key program for us, which is the PNG Games, and also the national event program, which is the FIFA World Cup. So there are 4 key things that are priority for us in 2016 that the organisation wishes to achieve.
With the success from the 2015 Pacific Games imprinted in Papua New Guinea's history, the PNG Sports Foundation's biggest challenge is maintaining the momentum, not just in 2016, but in the years to come. To football, the signs are looking good for Southern Conference leaders Hekari United as they prepare to battle on 2 fronts in the 2016 Telecom National Soccer League. Plans for the club to reach the 2nd stage of the NSL are on track, as well as their continued participation in the Oceania Champions League.
We're excited. We know the second round will not be easy. We have to work harder if we want to maintain our position. It will not be easy.
A few more days remain until the resumption of the National Soccer League. Amidst transfers for other teams, Hekari will also be looking at boosting their squad. And one of those names touted to join the club is midfielder Wira Wama. Alongside that, the return of Tommy Sammy from serious injury is an added bonus. Sammy, who top scored for the club in the 2014-15 season, is expected to provide further attacking options for the side that is already brimming with talent. With 5 wins from 5 matches, Hekari have shot straight to the top of the Southern Conference, scoring 16 goals along the way. And the club has also found a new diamond in the rough to defender come striker Cora Kupaiga.
Right, I think he scored 7 goals in 5 games. Amazing. From a defender up to up front. We were very excited about that. And I think we felt that he can remain there in our championship, can be a great help for us, both with our young Tommy and Rodney and Papalau. We had a good team. We had a good forwards in front of us. So saying that with 1 or 2 players that we're going to bring them in to support our team, I have a strong faith, but see how we go.
The forward has so far scored half of Hekari's goals, a feat astounding considering it's his first season up front and for one of the Pacific's most respected clubs. Hekari will join Ley City Dwellers for the Oceania Champions League. Ley, who themselves are at the top of the Northern Conference and who hold a precarious 1-point lead over Welgris, face Auckland City in the second week of April. And Capinato is adamant both clubs will do Papua New Guinea proud. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
And now to your weather forecast for tonight in the southern region. Showers and rain with possible thunderstorm in Port Moresby, showers in Daru and Kerma, and passing showers in Alotau and Popondetta. In Momase, Ley City expecting showers at times, passing showers in Midang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, showers and rain in Lorengau and Kavieng, passing showers in Kokopo and Rabaul, and mostly fine in Kimbe and Buka. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres cloudy with evening showers. And before we go, the US election campaigns are heating up. President Obama has announced a final push on gun control. However, Republican frontrunner Donald Trump says he will undo Obama's gun proposal.
Months ago, I directed my team at the White House to look into any new actions I can take to help reduce gun violence. And on Monday, I'll meet with our Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, to discuss our options. Because I get too many letters from parents and teachers and kids to sit around and do nothing.
Sources say President Obama is expected to announce new executive action soon, expecting background checks on gun sales, aimed at closing the so-called gun show loophole, which allows some gun sellers to avoid conducting a background check. Gun control advocates have also pushed the White House to tighten regulations on the reporting of lost and stolen guns, and want the president to prevent more alleged domestic abusers and passengers on the no-fly list from buying guns. But before the president has even announced the details of his actions, Republicans running to replace him were seemingly competing on who would undo them faster.
So he's going to sign another executive order having to do with the Second Amendment, having to do with guns. I will veto that. I will unsign that so fast, so fast.
All these executive orders he's going to come out with tomorrow that are going to undermine our Second Amendment rights on my first day in office, they're gone.
And Jeb Bush argued that there was no need to expand background checks because
the so-called gun show loophole, which is I think what he's talking about, doesn't exist. People that want to sell occasionally sell guns ought to have the right to do so without being impaired by the federal government.
Democrats have applauded Obama's efforts. On Sunday, Bernie Sanders, whose Democratic rivals have called him weak on gun control, endorsed increased background checks.
But I think most gun owners in this country understand that people who should not own guns should not be able to buy them. And we do need to expand the instant background check. I don't think that's an onerous burden on anybody.
And recapping our main stories for tonight. Probationary constable arrested again after being granted bail. Malaysian national seeks refuge at Gordens Police Barracks. An improvement in road and communication services for Goilala. And that's the news, sports and weather for Tuesday, the 5th of January 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Lorraine Genia. Pleasant viewing. Good night.